Right now, as you are watching this video, as your screen lights up in your hand, your location is known. Your device is identified. Your digital footprint is active. Not because you're important, not because you're guilty, but because in the modern world, existence itself is traceable. In 2013, one man proved something terrifying. Privacy was not slowly disappearing. It was already gone, hidden behind legal language, buried inside classified systems, protected by silence. And when he exposed the truth, the most powerful government on earth didn't debate him, didn't deny it openly, didn't apologize, they declared war on him. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not internet speculation. This is documented history. This is the true story of Edward Snowden, the man who pulled back the curtain and showed the world it was being watched. Before we go any further, pause for just a moment. Look around you. Your phone, your internet connection, the device you're using right now. Comment below where you're rewatching from and what time it is, because this story connects people across borders, time zones, and governments. If you believe power should be questioned, if you believe history should be told without filters, then like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like this don't survive on algorithms alone. They survive because people choose to spread them. Now, let's go back to the beginning, before the leaks, before the headlines, before the hunt. To understand Edward Snowden, you must first understand the world that created him. After September 11, 2001, the United States changed permanently. Fear became policy, security became priority, and privacy became negotiable. The government promised protection at any cost, and the public, shocked, grieving, terrified, agreed. New laws were passed quietly. Surveillance powers expanded rapidly. Oversight weakened slowly. What began as counterterrorism became something else entirely. A system designed not just to target suspects, but to collect everything, just in case. Most people never noticed. Most people trusted the system. Edward Snowden didn't. The man no one paid attention to. Edward Snowden was not raised to be a rebel. He wasn't loud. He wasn't political. He wasn't chasing fame. He was a systems thinker, a problem solver, a quiet observer. He believed in the Constitution. He believed in civil liberties. He believed that government power required limits. And most dangerously, he believed that citizens had the right to know what was being done in their name. Snowden didn't enter intelligence to destroy it. He entered it because he trusted it. Inside the intelligence world, Snowden worked as a contractor for U.S. intelligence agencies, including the NSA. This wasn't Hollywood espionage. No secret handshakes. No spy gadgets. No dramatic missions. Just terminals, databases, access, and access is everything. Snowden had the ability to see how the system actually worked, not what the public was told. And what he discovered disturbed him deeply. He found the surveillance machine. The NSA wasn't just monitoring foreign threats. It was collecting metadata on millions of innocent people. Who you called, when you called, how long you spoke, where you were, emails, chats, search histories. Not targeted surveillance, bulk surveillance, entire populations reduced to data points. The justification was simple. If we collect everything, we'll never miss anything. But Snowden saw the flaw. Power without limits doesn't stay benevolent. What shocked Snowden most wasn't the technology. It was the absence of meaningful control. Internal safeguards were weak. Oversight committees were misinformed. Courts approved programs they barely understood. Everything operated behind classified walls. And secrecy protected mistakes. Snowden realized something terrifying. This system could be abused, and no one outside would ever know. This wasn't a sudden decision. For months, Snowden wrestled with the consequences. He understood the cost. Whistleblowers don't become heroes inside the system. They become examples. He knew he would lose his career, his freedom, his country, possibly his future. But he also understood the alternative: silence, and silence meant acceptance. Snowden reached a breaking point. He believed that citizens deserved the truth, that democracy required informed consent, that secrecy on this scale was incompatible with freedom. He didn't want to destroy national security. He wanted to expose abuse, and once the decision was made, there was no turning back. Snowden didn't leak documents randomly. He sought journalists who understood responsibility, people who would verify, contextualize, and protect sources. He contacted Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras. He insisted on encryption, careful planning, and extreme caution. He wasn't reckless, he was precise. Snowden chose Hong Kong for a reason. Not because it was safe, but because it was unpredictable. It sat at the crossroads of global power. Outside direct U.S. jurisdiction, yet deeply connected to the world. He booked a hotel room. He waited. And when the journalists arrived, he revealed himself. No disguise. No fake identity. Just a calm, soft-spoken man carrying the weight of history. The documents were undeniable. They proved mass surveillance of citizens, secret court rulings, cooperation from major tech companies, and monitoring of foreign leaders. This wasn't speculation. This was evidence. When the first stories broke, the reaction was instant. Governments panicked. Tech companies scrambled. Citizens felt betrayed. Officials insisted surveillance was necessary. Critics called it unconstitutional. But the truth was out, and it couldn't be put back. The U.S. government moved quickly. Snowden was charged under the Espionage Act, labeled a traitor. Accused of aiding enemies, there would be no public trial. No whistleblower protection, only punishment. The trap was closing. Snowden tried to leave Hong Kong. His passport was revoked mid-journey. He became stranded. A man without a country, without protection, without options. Airports became prisons. Orders became weapons. The most powerful intelligence apparatus on Earth was now tracking his every move. Edward Snowden was now the most wanted whistleblower in the world. Every step risked capture. Every decision risked disappearance. And the most dangerous truth: he had only revealed part of the story. The files were still coming. The world was about to turn against itself as allies discovered betrayal. The moment Edward Snowden realized he could never go home didn't come with drama. There were no gunshots, no arrest, no final confrontation. It came quietly, thousands of feet in the air, when his passport was revoked while he was flying. In that instant, Snowden stopped being an American citizen with rights. He became something far more dangerous to the system, a man without a country. As Snowden sat trapped in limbo, the world outside was erupting. Governments were scrambling. Intelligence agencies were furious. Allies were demanding answers. The documents he released weren't just embarrassing, they were explosive. They showed that the United States had been spying not only on its enemies, but on its closest. Allies: Germany, France, Brazil, even the personal phone of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Overnight, trust collapsed. Publicly, leaders expressed outrage. Privately, they feared exposure because almost every major power was doing the same thing. Snowden hadn't just exposed the United States. He had exposed the unwritten rules of the modern world. Within days, the narrative fractured. One side called Snowden a hero. The other called him a traitor. Television panels argued endlessly. Politicians competed to condemn him. Some said he had endangered lives. Others claimed he had saved democracy. But Snowden himself wasn't part of this debate. He was trapped, and every hour increased the risk that he would be captured. Snowden attempted to travel from Hong Kong to Latin America, where several countries had hinted at offering asylum. But the United States moved faster. His passport was revoked mid-transit. When his plane landed in Moscow, he was stopped, not arrested, not welcomed. just stuck. For 40 days, Edward Snowden lived inside Sheremetyevo International Airport, sleeping in isolation, living under constant surveillance, unsure if he would be handed over at any moment. He had no legal status, no protection, and no certainty. He was physically free, but politically trapped in a place he never intended to be. Behind closed doors, diplomacy turned aggressive. The United States pressured countries not to help Snowden. Flights were monitored. Airspace permissions were revoked. At one point, the Bolivian president's plane was forced to land on suspicion that Snowden might be on board. That single moment shocked the world. A head of state was treated as collateral damage, all because one man had told the truth. Snowden understood something then. This wasn't about him anymore. This was about control. But why were they so afraid? Snowden had not released everything. The files were vast. Thousands of documents detailing surveillance programs, cyber operations, intelligence alliances, and internal assessments. What terrified governments wasn't what had been published. It was what might still come out. Because once people saw how deep the system went, they would start asking dangerous questions. Who decides the limits? Who watches the watchers? And who controls the future? Snowden was living proof that the system was not untouchable. More than 20 countries were contacted for asylum. Most refused. Not because they believed Snowden was wrong, but because helping him meant angering the United States. Only one country ultimately agreed to protect him: Russia. It wasn't ideological alignment. It wasn't friendship. It was pure geopolitics. Russia saw value where others saw risk. When Russia granted Snowden temporary asylum, the reaction was immediate. The US called it a hostile act. The media framed it as a defection. Critics accused Snowden of becoming a pawn. But the reality was simpler. Snowden had nowhere else to go. He did not choose Russia. The world chose not to protect him. This was a life in exile. While the world debated politics, Snowden lost everything familiar: his home, his career, his friends and family. His partner, Lindsay Mills, was stranded thousands of miles away. Communication was risky. Travel was impossible. Every message could be intercepted, every movement monitored. This was the personal price of truth. Despite the immense pressure, the journalism continued. More revelations surfaced. Governments collecting data without warrants. Intelligence agencies hacking global networks, surveillance expanding far beyond its original mission of fighting terrorism. The public reaction was mixed. Some people were angry. Some were indifferent. Some felt helpless. And governments counted on that. Because outrage fades. But fear doesn't. One of the most shocking aspects of the leaks was the role of major technology companies. Companies people trusted. Companies that promised privacy. Some cooperated willingly with intelligence agencies. Others were legally compelled. The result was the same. User data flowed directly into government systems. The digital world, once seen as a realm of freedom, was revealed to be a place of deep, pervasive monitoring. Governments defended this surveillance with a simple line: if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Snowden rejected that logic completely. Privacy, he argued, is not about hiding wrongdoing. It's about human dignity. It's about the freedom to think, speak, and exist without constant observation. Because a society that knows it's being watched behaves differently. It becomes quieter, more obedient, more controllable. In the years following the leaks, courts began reviewing surveillance laws. Some programs were ruled illegal. Others were restructured. Oversight increased, but only slightly. The system did not disappear. It adapted. Surveillance didn't stop. It just evolved. From exile, Snowden continued to speak out publicly through video links, encrypted channels, and carefully controlled appearances. He explained what he had done and why. He never denied the consequences. He accepted them, but he refused to apologize. Because from his perspective, the real crime wasn't the exposure. It was the secrecy. By now, the world was split. Some saw Snowden as a traitor who weakened national security. Others saw him as a whistleblower who strengthened democracy. The debate never truly settled. And maybe that was the point. Because Snowden didn't want agreement. He wanted awareness. Years passed, new crises emerged. New scandals dominated the headlines, but the surveillance remained. Quiet, persistent, expanding, Snowden faded from daily news, but not from history. Because once people know they're being watched, they never completely forget it. Edward Snowden survived, but survival came with a cost. He was alive, but exiled. Free, but trapped. Heard, but distant. And the greatest irony, the very system he exposed became even more sophisticated, more subtle, more invisible. Now we confront the final question. Did Edward Snowden change the world, or did the world simply learn to hide better? The question still hangs in the air. Did Edward Snowden change the world, or did the world simply learn how to hide better? The answer is uncomfortable. Because the truth is, both are true. After the initial outrage faded, something familiar returned. Normal life. People went back to work. Phones stayed in their pockets. Apps continued updating. Governments issued statements. Courts held hearings. Panels discussed reforms, and slowly, almost invisibly, the noise died down. This is how power survives. Not by crushing resistance violently, but by outlasting attention. Snowden exposed the system, but the system learned something too. It learned that people are overwhelmed, distracted, tired, and tired societies are easy to manage. What many people misunderstand is this: Snowden didn't end mass surveillance. He forced it to change shape. Programs were renamed, authorities were redistributed, oversight committees were expanded on paper, but data collection never stopped. It just became quieter. More automated, more outsourced. Today, algorithms do what humans once did. They don't ask questions. They don't feel guilt. They don't leak. They just collect. Your phone knows where you sleep. Your apps know what you like. Your browser knows what scares you. And none of this requires government warrants anymore, because surveillance has moved into the private sector. Tech companies track your behavior to sell products. Governments request access to that data for security, and somewhere in between, privacy disappears. Snowden warned about this future, a world where control doesn't require force-just data. Some critics argue, what really changed? We're still being watched. They miss the point. Snowden didn't promise victory. He delivered awareness. Before 2013, mass surveillance was denied. After 2013, it was debated. Before Snowden, questioning intelligence agencies was taboo. After Snowden, it became necessary. That shift matters, because power hates being questioned. Edward Snowden did not walk away untouched. He lives in exile, separated from his homeland, unable to return without facing prison. Every job offer, every public appearance, every interview, it's all filtered through risk. He traded his comfort for his conscience, and that choice follows him every single day. He is technically free, but freedom without a home is a strange thing. He cannot visit his childhood streets. He cannot attend family gatherings freely. He cannot live anonymously. Every movement is calculated. Every silence is intentional. This is the cost rarely shown in the headlines. Not prison, but permanent displacement. Two whistleblowers watching around the world, Snowden sent a clear signal. Truth has consequences. Not just professional, not just legal, existential, and governments noticed. Since Snowden whistleblower protections haven't strengthened, they've tightened. The message is subtle but clear. Expose us, and you will stand alone. Ask 10 people about Edward Snowden. You'll get 10 different answers. Hero, traitor, patriot, criminal. But history doesn't care about labels. History asks only one question: was the truth worth the cost? That question has no easy answer. And that's why Snowden's story refuses to die. There's another irony here. We now live in a world where people willingly share everything: their locations, their thoughts, their faces, their emotions. Surveillance no longer needs force. Participation is voluntary. Snowden exposed government overreach, but society normalized self-exposure. And that may be the most unsettling outcome of all. Edward Snowden will not be remembered for the documents alone. He will be remembered for forcing a question humanity was unready to answer. How much freedom are we willing to trade for comfort? Security feels good. Convenience feels harmless. But freedom erodes quietly. And once it's gone, it rarely returns fully. Right now, as this documentary ends, your device is still connected. Your data is still moving. Your digital shadow is still growing. Snowden didn't end that. But he made sure you know it exists. And knowledge is dangerous. Because once you see the cage, you can never unsee it. This documentary wasn't made to scare you. It was made to wake you up. History isn't just wars and empires. It's decisions made in silence. Snowden stood at one of those moments. Sancho's exposure over obedience. Agree with him or not, that choice reshaped the modern world. This documentary made you pause, question, or see the world differently. Then this channel is for you. We don't chase trends. We chase truth, power, and the stories that shape humanity. Subscribe not because you retold to, but because you want more documentaries that insults your intelligence. Comment below what shocked you the most. Tell us what story you want to see next. We're planning a full week of historical and political documentaries to understand how the world evolved and where it may be heading. Edward Snowden didn't ask to be remembered. He asked one thing instead: that people pay attention. The question now isn't what governments are doing. The question is, are we still watching them back?